Hello, everyone. We are going to start in a couple of minutes. I would love to know who's on, where you're from. You can type in the chat box, I believe, or in the Q&A. All right. Hello. I am going to chat. We have Karen. Nice to see you. Woohoo, so exciting. I am really excited about this particular training. We're going to give it a moment to let people come on. And this isn't a training I had in mind. Hi, Kara. Nice to see you again. And I hope you guys are ready for the holidays. Are you guys ready for the holidays? You guys can type in the chat box if you like. And we're going to go ahead in a couple of minutes. This training isn't something that I had thought about doing until last week. And I am super, super excited about sharing this message with you and what's coming and how to do it. And I had this whole vision of what this webinar should be, and I flipped that on its head and it became something completely different. And this training is really about helping you bring back the joy in your life and in your business. Some of you are already clients of mine, and I'm doing more like life coaching on that end. And in this case, I wanted to just bring it back to for entrepreneurs, and how do you fast track the process of manifesting a business or even creating a business and a life that you love? Because I think so many people have it wrong, right? They think that they have to become something that they're not in order to be successful in their business. And sometimes that can really be self-recating. It can cause overwhelm. It can cause anxiety. And business is hard enough without us feeling really, really good about how to move forward, okay? So as we go through the process, I would love to know what questions you have. You guys can interact with the Q&A box at the bottom or in the chat box. I wanted to make this very much interactive. This isn't something that I have notes on what I want to talk about, but ultimately I want to meet you guys where you are, and I really want this to be heart-centered. I want it to be a two-way street. And if you guys can let me know if you can hear me in the comments, that would be great, okay? And so it's just gonna go from there, and feel free to interact, feel free to raise your hand, and feel free to have fun. And I'm not doing slides today, and here's why: because when I do slides, I tend to disconnect from you guys, and I don't want to do that. I really want to be able to provide you with the best what you came here to do. And you need to know that by the end of this training, there is a special gift in store for you, right? And you're gonna absolutely love it, because I didn't just turn this training upside down, I turned my whole business upside down over the last few days, and I'm so, so excited about it. Okay, and I'm just gonna go find my notes. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Today, we are gonna talk about the path to creating a life and a business that you love, because it's a simple path, but too often we forget what that's about. So I'm going to actually show you guys a slide for that particular one. We're going to talk about the 4 steps that you need to take to raise your vibe, keep it up, and start to really have more fun in your business while attracting more love and more clients, and to get paid what you do, doing what you love. And you can tell I don't have notes. Carrie says, I can hear you. Purple. Kimmy says, excited. I'm so glad to have you guys here today. We're also going to talk about the 3 biggest problems that are facing most entrepreneurs today. And we're going to talk about how to get past them. And we're just going to have some fun. And ultimately, guys, we're also going to talk about how to reconnect with your own truth, your own voice, your own inner guidance, and how to start trusting and believing in yourself enough to take the next step on your journey, whatever that might be. And it's different for everyone. Sometimes people come and they're like, oh, other people are doing it this way, or they're building a business with You know, maybe you have an MLM and you've been at it for a little while. Well, sometimes that dream has to evolve and shift. And how do you start to trust yourself to allow that to shift in a way that is organic, that supports your family, that doesn't just throw everything up in the air, right? Like, you don't want to throw up all these eggs and everything falling flat on your face, right? How do you start that process and that journey and that unfolding? And we'll be talking about that. You guys ready? Woo, right? I'm so excited. I'm so excited that we have so many people on today. All right, so let's talk about the first problem out that most entrepreneurs, small business owners are facing, right? There's this idea that's pretty prevalent in the world that is, the harder you work, the more results you get. Who would believe that? Right? I have, right? I'm a workhorse. Every single coach that I've ever had will tell you that I'm an absolute workhorse, right? The problem with that is that without having the mindset and the energy behind it, your actions are for nothing. It's like working to the grind. Maybe you believe that you have to struggle in order to be successful. Maybe you have to worry about the outcome in order to be successful. And unfortunately, that energy actually takes your focus away from creating. It keeps you from actually having the results that you're wanting. Sometimes it keeps you procrastinating or stuck in overwhelm and anxiety. And when you're stuck in that constant place, you can't get to the other side. You cannot manifest a business that you're actually love, right? Because you're stuck in this paradigm of business sucks and that's the way it is and that's the way it should be. So that's the first problem, right? But don't worry, it's not too much your fault. It's what everybody does. The second problem that we have is that you don't trust yourself enough to follow your own divine guidance. Now, this is really interesting to me because I spent a lot of time in as a coach, as a healer, believing in that the divine guidance was coming in, but whenever it did come, I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't just take and get myself out of the way. Now, I discovered this the hard way. A few months into my business, I was working my butt off. Of course, I was like I'm a workaholic. I was actually, and I was just doing to get busy. And I was spending 12 hours on Facebook every single day, attracting clients. And yes, I had a business, but then I got really, really tired. Okay. And, one day I'm sitting down and I was in the park and I was in tears. I'm living my purpose. I finally had quit my job, but money's not coming in. And I was stressed out of my mind and I was pissed, right? And I'll never forget what I said. I told God this. I said, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. I'm pissed off. Show me that this whole manifesting is real today. I demand $500. What do you guys think happened? Right now, I also said something else. I said, I don't care what what I have to do. Just tell me what I have to do and I'll do it. And so I got over my little tantrum and I went over to the cafe to have a breakfast and I felt a little bit better. And then I had an idea and it just popped into my head. And it was something I hadn't really wanted to do. But that day, I said to God that I would do whatever was necessary for me to move along in my journey. And I implemented it. It was called the vibration tune-up. And it's basically an intuitive reading. And I would tell business owners, would scan their energy. I would tell them what was blocking them. And then I would tell them how to clear it. And it was a video and it felt like a lot of work, but Creator had said that this is what I needed to do. So I did it and I released it at 8 p.m. and I had no attachment. And by 9 p.m. I had made $600 that day. What? Right? That's what's possible when you clear your energy and you start tapping into your inspired action, right? But that's not the only problem with building a business. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed with everything that there is to do, and we get so focused on the results and on doing that we actually forget to recharge our own batteries, and we let our energy drop down to zero. And that's a place where you can have a lot of of desperation, a lot of everything's not working. You can start repelling clients. I can't tell you how often I hear an entrepreneur say, you know what, I'm not really sure I can handle more clients, right? And Kimmy says, yes, I've had those tantrums. And you know what, Kimmy, we have all had those tantrums. They are just part of the course. All right. So what is the solution to these problems, right? It's not to keep pushing. It's not to do any of that. It's actually to start reconnecting with who you really are. And that is really hard to do because there's a part of you that's like, I have to push, I have to push, I have to do more. And you're going to push that boulder up the mountain. But eventually that boulder is just going to come back down and you're going to end up having to push it back up again. And sometimes people can't. They quit their businesses. They quit on their life purpose because they can't actually do it. And so what I actually wanted to do right now and what I'm inspired to do is just to kind of take a moment and just reconnect, guys. And because it is the first step, right? Whether you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, doubtful, discouraged, you're feeling lost, you're feeling like, oh, like this is crazy. The first step is just to stop and get connected to your inner being, to that light. And it's pretty simple. And what we're going to do is just a quick exercise. Are you guys up for it? Let me know in the comments. And I just want you to just put your hand over your heart. And I'm going to send you some love. That's not part of the exercise, but I'm going to do it anyways. And if you want to receive unconditional love, go ahead and say yes. Creator, make that happen. And as you put your right hand on your heart, I really want you to focus on your heart and just allow all the tension of the day to just fall away. Don't judge it. If you're judging it, just send love to it. Maybe you're going through something so that you can evolve, so that you can grow. And then I want you to imagine a beautiful, bright, white light coming down from the ethers through the top of your head, down into your heart, all the way down into your feet. And in your mind, you're going to say, Creator, I am part of all that is. There is no separation. And taking a deep breath in and exhale. And you allow your vibration to become one with the universe, with infinite intelligence. And you feel that intelligence coming into your heart. All right. And that is really the first step. And when you do that, what happens is you have an opportunity to really get reconnected with your divine guidance, reconnected with your heart. And so a great place, and we're not going to do that right now, but if you wanted to, you can ask your heart, what does your heart really want right now? Truth. And you don't have to tell me, you could put it in the comments if you want to, but this is between you and your truth. And too often what happens when we're disconnected is we're not even acknowledging what it is that we're wanting. We're building businesses that don't excite us. We're building offers because we think they're going to make us money. We are pushing because we think we don't have any other options. And we stop actually having our own desires. And that's the first step to reconnecting, to really start creating your life the way you want it. Okay, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're doing an offer, whether you're having a fight with your husband, reconnecting is always the first step. Okay, and then what happens, right? The ultimate map to success, it's about creating a vision that you love. Now, if you're not in love with your business, why are you doing it? Right? And you may not like the marketing, you may not like the sales process, there's so many things that are going to push you right out of your comfort zone. But here's the trick, guys. You get to choose what your business looks like. And too often we've forgotten to actually sit down in our life and figure out where it is that we want to take our business, right? Like our business is driving us, our fear is driving us, our idea that it's not enough is driving us. And so my question to you guys right now, right? And let me know in the comments is what kind of business do you actually want to create? How do you want to feel? What kind of marketing do you want to create? right? And one of the things that's going to happen here is you're going to see a lot of things that you don't like in your business, right? And it's easy to create that list. It's easy to go, okay, well, I don't like this stuff, so what am I going to do? And, you know, I'm not going to do that. And you're avoiding. And the question you really have to ask yourself is, if you don't want something, what is it that you do want? And that's a really hard question to answer, right? So that's really like the next step. What do you want your business to look like? And for some of you, you're going to have to let go of your business in order to create something even more. You know, David Neagle always says this. He says, in order to achieve the next level, you have to let go of something of a lower nature. Sometimes you have to let go of a relationship. Sometimes you have to let go of a job. You have to move. You have to let go of something that is holding you back. And a great question to ask yourself here would be something like, what are you actually doing to protect? Like, what are you protecting? And when you're protecting, you're not open. You can't even create something because you're spending all your energy protecting what you already have. And it's based in lack. It's based on this idea that more won't come. But the truth is that more can't come if you're protecting. You have to be open and allow more to come and allow what needs to go to go. And you know, the vision I have from Creator right now is it's like a broken stick. Sometimes it can feel like things are broken. You guys know what I mean? Right? Like your life, your business, your job, it just not working, right? And what happens is you feel like that stick is like this. And you're like, man, it's broken. I have to fix the stick. But you don't really have to, because those pieces are being created so that you can create a new vision for yourself. All right. So those are the first two steps to creating a business and a life that you love. And I'm not saying that it's easy to you, but once you have that vision, it's your job to commit. It's your job to take inspired action. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we're going through the process and how to do that. And it's your job to keep going and to keep your vibe up. The secret to doing that, right, with more ease, with more flow, without overwhelm, is to work on your mindset. You know, the tantrums are going to come. The fear is going to count. The doubt's going to come when you're launching, when you're trying to do something. You're going to overfocus. Your vibe is going to be wrong. Right? Your job is to bring yourself back into alignment. And by alignment, I mean being and becoming the woman that you need to be. It means you need to believe, you need to trust, and you need to follow divine guidance. And you need to let go of what's no longer serving you. And it's really becoming a new identity. People that have really successful businesses are a completely different breed. They think differently, they act differently. And it's not just because they have money. It's because they are a different person. And we're not saying become them, but align yourself with that version of your own power, because everything you need is inside of you. And it's like this, right? If you're on this call right now, it's because there's a seed inside of you that is wanting to come through, and you're wanting to evolve and become something more. Right? And you totally can. But in order to do that, you have to nurture the ground. You have to make room and space for that part of you to come through. And everything you need is inside, but you have to nurture the vehicle that you are in order to grow forward. Does that make sense, guys? All right. So we talked about the path. And by the way, guys, the secret here is that some people will give up before the end, right? They'll get up to the top of the mountain, they'll get discouraged, and then they'll give up, right? The other time people give up is, or they like stop pushing, is because when they can't see what's beyond that mountaintop. It's like when you climb Everest, and a lot of people do this with purpose, right? They climb to the mountaintop, right? And you're like, okay, if I just get there, I'll be happy. I'll be able to do what I really, really want. But it's such a flaky vision that it never happens. And, you know, at the end of the day, you got to shoot for what you know, and you have to allow that vision to evolve, to grow, because you're always becoming something more. And that's ultimately the secret. Okay. So you guys want to talk about the 4 steps to get out of overwhelm, anxiety, and really raise your vibe and get back into manifesting clients with ease, right? Okay, so step number 1. All right, and this is going to be faster than I thought because I'm talking way too much. Number 1 is to recharge your vision, your energy, right? If you're low in energy, if you're exhausted, if you're in that space of hating your business, if you're resenting your business. And how many people here sometimes resent their business, right? Or you're having a tantrum and it's just not good. Come on, I'm not alone here, right? And what happens is that energy will suck you down. It'll suck your time as well, because when you get sucked into that, it's like a pit of despair, right? And the worse you feel, the worse it is. And you send out that vibe in the universe, and the universe sends you back things that match those opportunities. And it's not because your desires are not out there. It's because you just can't see them anymore. You're in the dark and you're going around like this, right? So it's really about stop, get reconnected, but it's a little bit more than that, right? To re-energize, it takes you to be able to be reconnected. It helps, you have to get into a space where you also make peace with where you are. And that sucks, right? Because that resentment, that regret, whatever you're going through, you just really want to fight it, but it's resistance and it's keeping you from what you really want. And the key here is to learn from it so that you can let it go. And then you need to get super excited about your vision. What is it that you're actually wanting? What is it that you actually want to create moving forward, right? Because it's only in the focusing of what you do want that you'll be able to move forward. So often we're all focused on what we don't want. And when we do that, we go where we're looking, right? In kayaking, I used to kayak, and whenever you look in a hole, you're going to go in the hole. But if you're actually wanting to move forward and to go past it, you have to be clear on where it is that you're going. And most people are just not clear. They're murky because it's scary to look, or they're picking things that they don't actually want. And then you got to commit. One of my clients has a really hard time deciding, because what she knows is that when she commits to something, she gets really attached to the outcome, and then it doesn't happen. So it's about committing to the outcome without being attached to it. And the secret here is to actually be okay with where you are, however you are. Okay, so that's step number one. Makes sense, right? And I'm going to talk about how you can get re-energized at the end of this training. 2, you need to grow your faith bowl, right? And this is about becoming and being the woman that you need to be. Do you believe in your goals? Okay, and I don't just mean rationally, I mean, do you know that they're done? So when I first started manifesting, I used to think that when I manifested money or clients, I had to go out and create them. I had to go out and actually make the money happen. But it doesn't work that way. And I learned this when I learned about the law of polarity. The law of polarity says that if you have a desire, it's because it already exists out in the universe. Okay, and what that means is that if you want to have 5 clients, your 5 clients are actually out there, right? If you want to have $10,000, you actually want it. It's a heart's desire, which is not always super easy. It's actually out in the universe, okay? Now, your job is to believe and know that it's coming, and to trust that the universe is lining things up for you. It's not your job to line everything up, right? And how do you get into that state of expectation? And I do it by saying, hey, let's grow our faith bowl. Why is this possible? Why how might this come? You get into that mindset of believing and choosing to expect. Now, I'll give you an example here of something that happened to me, and it was in grade 7. And I was a newspaper girl. I used to deliver papers for the North Bay Nugget, and I did it for like 4 years. And that year they had a contest, and the contest was that for every new house that you got during a 2-week period, you would be entered in a contest, and then winners would be picked to win a trip to Montreal. And I picked up that sheet and I went, I'm going to Montreal. And I decided that I wanted to go, and I knew, and I was like, this is mine. And 2 weeks later, I'd only gotten 1 house. Like, I didn't have very many houses to choose from. And the winners came out, and I wasn't on the list, right? And so often we're doing things and we're looking at evidence, by the way, and it's just not happening. But on that day, I was like, no, I'm going to Montreal, right? I could see myself. I knew that it was done. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew that I was going. And the very next day, my boss came to the house and said, one of the kids can't go. Do you want to come? And I'm like, okay, right? So that's kind of what happens when you have that sort of level of an expectation. And it's a place of detachment of the how. It's a place of being able to just go, okay, I'm waiting for the inspired action and it's going to come. And most of us hold on to the doubt for dear life. We hold on to the struggle because we are like, if we let it go, who the hell are we, right? We have value in that. This morning, I was actually working on detachment and how do you get detachments? And I was asking for guidance because I struggle with that at times. I'm like looking at the outcome and I'm doing things and that just kills your vibration. And it's not that I don't believe, it's not that I don't expect, but I'm completely attached to watching the outcome come in, right? Of course I want it to come in, but if you do that, you're constantly focused on what you don't have. And that's the vibration that you're bringing out into the universe. So this morning when I talked to Creator and I talked to the laws, what I heard was that it's about trust. And you do that by bringing your focus to what's right in front of you, right? You don't let your belief system, you don't let your desires change based on everything else that's going on. You're just focused in the moment. You're focused on your clients. You're focused on loving your tribe. Does that make sense, guys? Right? And by the way, a great way to actually get out of detachment, and maybe I'm giving you guys too much today, but I just feel like this is what I came on to do today, right? Is to actually tell yourself that you're going to be okay whether or not you get the results, right? And when I was in grade 7, I was just like, yeah, I'm okay either way. And I'm getting those, I'm still going. And it's the same thing in your business. Okay, so that's step number 2. First step was to recharge and re-energize. Step number 2 is to grow your faith bowl. And step number 3 is to actually tap into inspired action and to take it. Now, here's why. Most people just don't take enough action, right? And this was so confusing to me for so long. So I have friends that sit on their couch and they meditate and they get inspired action. But what you need to know is that inspired action doesn't always have to come from meditation. Sometimes it can come as an idea in the middle of the day. Sometimes it can come from a friend. It can come from something that feels really good. And you'll know when it's an inspired action because it's going to feel good. You're going to feel like, you know, take this webinar as an example. When I started this webinar, I had this whole idea that I was going to make this about, you know, like a 5-shift process. I was going to basically rehash my old webinars, but I didn't feel good. It didn't feel like something that I really wanted to do. And not because I didn't want to do the webinar, but I let that go and I allowed myself to go, what would feel good? And this is actually what feels good, which is why I'm talking about it and why I'm building a new offer, why I'm actually pulling something out into the world. And so you have to realize that inspired action is all around you. The other thing you need to realize is that the opportunities that you seek are all around you. And the only way you can access them is by putting the rules, like the colored glasses, raising your vibe, get into believing mode, get into expectation, right? So if you're not sure what to do, ask yourself, what opportunity am I missing? What's out there that, you know, the universe is trying to show me? Right? And maybe you'll get it into your brain, but if you really want to, you can sit down and go and ask your inner being. You can go up and ask for guidance. Now, it's not as easy as it sounds because sometimes what happens when we ask for guidance, we get our own way, right? We don't want to hear it. But the better you get at it, the more you can relax and get into a place of detachment. What you'll find is that the guidance will come. Right? And you'll find that you'll trust it and you won't always get it right because you do need to take action in order to get results, right? But the more aligned you are with your actions, the better and the easier it is to get the results that you're wanting and the more fun it is because it's not supposed to be hard. And that's a quote from one of my clients, Rhonda, right? She is, what is she? She's a healer and a writer. She's published a book called Jeremy's Love from Above. And she's not a marketer, right? She's not a writer either. She wasn't. But after her son passed away, she started to connect with him through the divine, and she started to receive messages, and she really doubted the process along the way, but she just knew that it had to be done. And inspired action will feel that way, and she trusted the process. She didn't know what would happen. She didn't know if she had the confidence to do it. She just kept taking one step in front of the other. And that is really what inspired action is. It's not an overall plan. So stop looking for it. If that's what you're looking for, don't, right? It doesn't exist, right? You just have to take the next best step, which really comes from, I think the movie Frozen 2 is what I heard. I don't know if it's from Frozen 1, but you have to just take the next best step and keep taking those next best step until you open the door. One of the things that you can do is to do the big things that scare you. So a good example of that would be last year, I decided to launch a challenge. I spent $20,000 on Facebook ads. I had 5,000 people in a challenge. The plan was to enroll 100 people in Goddess Rising. It totally flopped, right? And yes, it was a massive failure. And for a little while, I was like, oh, I resent my inspired action. I resent my divine connection, because at the time I thought it was so right. But when I look back, and it didn't take me very long to start looking back, I started to see what the lessons were. And I am so, so glad that I did that, had that experience, because it was exactly what I needed to do. So don't assume that because you tried an inspired action and it didn't work out, that it wasn't the right one for you. You just have to go back and reconnect and go, what do I want? What is my next best step? Keep going, right? That's how it works. And that's the path. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know in the comments. All right. Now, then last step, the fourth step in all of this is to actually turn up the momentum, right? How do you speed that up? And the way you do that is by raising your vibe, getting into alignment, and keeping it up, right? Now, life is going to be a roller coaster of emotions. You're not always going to be in the high vibe. And what you want to do is bring yourself back into alignment every single day, into a place of trust, into a place of being able to really hear your inspired action. Now, most people that are on this call, most entrepreneurs that I get, will raise their vibe for a little while, right? They'll do their mindset work for 3 or 4 days, and I'm no different. Sometimes that happens to me, right? And what they'll end up doing is they'll get into a place of, okay, I feel good, I'm getting the results, and then they'll stop, or maybe they'll get frustrated and then they'll stop. And the more you stop, the more you slow down, the more you go down, and then you have to push that boulder back up the hill. And so the key is to do your work every single day, to choose your beliefs. What do you choose to believe, and to raise your vibe, to get into a state of believing and expectation. And if you can't do that, just sit with the emotions that you have and love them. You don't have to cut them out. And the sooner you love them, the sooner it can be released, right? There's an expression that I really like, which is emotions are like gas, and they will pass, right? But you have to let them pass. And the key is to really acknowledge and release. And there's so many different ways that you can raise your vibe. At the end of the day, that is the key, right? And when you raise your vibe, you can hear your inspired action. A lot of times people are like, well, I'll follow my gut. And I hate that expression. Because follow your gut is wrong when you're in low vibe. Because when you're in low vibe and you're stuck in fear and scarcity and doubt, and it happens to all of us, right? Your inspired action is to withdraw, or to fly away, right? And to give everything up. And that is not the point. The point is that if you raise your vibe, you can get clear. What would your inner being do? And your inner being is never, ever in a space of, I'm scared, never in a space of it's not happening. Your inner being is just like, yeah, all right, let's have some compassion here and let's move forward. Your inner being has infinite access, infinite intelligence, and there is always a path to your desires. It doesn't matter how many times you failed, right? And one of the things that I want to talk about here is, how do you actually let go of your past failures? If you guys have any past failures, you tried things and you just didn't make them happen, right? Let me know in the comments. All right, so in terms of past failures, one of the things that that will keep you stuck is the energy. Some people have gone bankrupt. Some people have gone to the point where they're in the space of, they're really angry that they tried something and it didn't work out, right? Or they listened to their intuition and it didn't work out, right? And what happens when you do that is you get resentful, you get bitter, and you block off that signal, and you kind of tell yourself you're not going to trust yourself anymore. And so forgiving those past failures, right, is how you move forward. And the way that you can do that is just by making a list and actually getting really, really angry at those past failures, right? And then just go, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you. And when you do that, you allow that energy to flow again. You allow that to go through you. And that is when you can start to have more clarity, more vision, have more inspired action, and you can really have some momentum. That's this path to more momentum. If you're feeling stuck in your business, it's because, one, you don't have energy anymore. Your energy's all over the place. You need to reset it. You need to reconnect and reignite that vision. You need to have more faith, and you need to ditch the doubt, right? I know you love it, but you need to ditch it and grow your faith ball. And 3, you need to take inspired action. And that's practice, right? You need to go out and follow your heart and learn that it's okay, right? But you can only do that if you stop protecting it. And 4, you need to turn on the momentum, right? You need to do this every single day. It's not something that you do once and then you get a result. It's something that you have to become and be. And become and be takes time. And you're going to have resistance. Resistance is why people don't manifest. It's why they get stuck. They have beliefs that are holding them back from actually receiving, from creating something. They're afraid, right? It's normal to have all of those fears. People also create resistance by going, I have to watch the outcome. They're totally focused on what they don't have. Their vibration will dictate what comes back to them. And then things can't come in. When I manifested that $600 in a day, it's because I had zero resistance and I was available for the universe. I was a vessel. And you need to become a vessel for the universe. And it takes practice. And that's what I do for a lot of my clients. I help them release the resistance. And it's different for everyone, right? They have a goal that they're working on and they want to get to the point where they're actually letting go, where they're actually receiving, where they're taking action with confidence. And it starts with them releasing resistance. So I'm going to go to Q&A first, because there is a question. Let me know in the chat box how this has been for you guys. Am I talking too quickly? Oh, Tina says, I'm late. You're very welcome. Okay, so there's no questions coming in. Kara says, I'm all in. All right, so what I wanted to give you guys today is a special offer. Treva says, I love this, Nathalie. Thank you so much. I have a gift. Who wants a gift, guys? All right, raise your hand. Let me know in the chat box. Okay, we have Kara, we have Karen, we have Kimmy. All right, who wants a gift? Treva says yes. Okay, so what I have done is I actually decided that I am changing my business model a little bit. One of the things that happens is that I have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people actually, who really want to do healing work, but they're not quite ready for the 4-month engagement or the year-long. And honestly, transformation happens all the way through. So what I wanted to do here is on my website, and I'm going to share it with you guys. What I have done is I have created a coupon for 30% off. And you can get either 1 or 3 or 6 sessions with me over the next year for 30% off, okay? And this is the first time in my business that I'm trusting myself to really go after this. I love doing one-on-ones. I don't like to just do one session with people. I like to do a multiple set of sessions. If you're the kind of entrepreneur that knows what they're doing a little bit and they just need to keep their vibe up as they're going, and you just need to get a tune-up every once in a while, the 6 sessions is absolutely perfect for you. So who's interested in that? Raise your hand and let me know. And the coupon is good until the end of the day. So let me just share my screen here, and we're gonna go and show you where to actually go with this. Okay, and I'm not used to selling on these things, but it's a gift that I think you're absolutely gonna love. I have worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs over the last 4 years. In the last year, I worked more with corporate people, but entrepreneurs are really my favorite, and they're also my long-term clients. They're people that keep coming back. I work with coaches, I worked with business owners. If you go to my website and then you click on work with me, there is going to be a video that you can watch to learn what you can work on. You can work on anything that you desire. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a low vibe, maybe it's whatever it is, right? There's a lot of pictures of me on the screen right now, right? Whatever that might be, you could work on why you're not getting enough clients, lack of clarity, and a healing session will help you through that. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on this button here called Ready for Your Session. And it's going to take you to a special page, right? In Acuity, here you can pick what you like, and all the prices are in US dollars, and you can enter your 30% coupon code. You can choose 1 hour, you can choose 3, you can choose 6, and you have 1 year to actually do them. Okay, so it's actually a great opportunity for you to get some one-on-one time without breaking the bank. I also believe that this is a great complement to business coaching. Now, what you don't get in here is you don't get a lot of mindset work. You don't get like the one-on-one support as you go through it, unless you're already in my VIP coaching group, and then you get it. But other than that, it's just when you need it, you come in, you have a session, and we go from there. All right, so how does that sound to you guys? Does that sound like, are you guys okay with me like sharing this, by the way? All right, I always get a little bit nervous here. So I think I lost my video. Hold on. Okay, great, awesome, woohoo. So Treva says, I love this. Thank you so much, Treva. All right, so I want to know who has questions. Who would like to have a question answered right on this call, something that you're struggling with, right? Let me know, because we are going to take Q&A. Okay, and we can actually turn off the video so that I can share the rest of the video and just do it this way. Okay, we're going to turn that